Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be talking about how to create your web application from scratch. How do I This is a kind of throwback course, okay, to refresh your memory on how do we create a website from scratch. What do we need to create a website from scratch? For my website structure, okay, so let's get to see web structure. Okay, so our web structure looks like this. We said from our web structure that every website has a HTML tag, HTML element, opening tag and closing tag of the HTML element, which is the first block containing every other element. Within the HTML element, we have the head element. This is a head opening tag and a head closing tag. And then we have the body element, body opening tag and body closing tag. So there are three main elements we need in our website. The HTML element that encloses the entire code, the head element, and then the body element. The body element contains everything that will be visible in your browser. Everything that will be visible in your browser is held in your body element. For the head element, just like the name implies, the head of the home, head of the family, head of a business, head of a country, head of a state, the head element holds commands, important informations, stylings, important SEO codes, okay, search engine optimization codes, particularly commands. It helps to give instruction to your page, okay. It holds commands, controls for that particular page. All right, so there are a lot of things that can be in the head element. An example is the title element. The title element is the element that holds the content that shows up in the page tab. So this is an example of a page tab, introduction to HTML. So this introduction to HTML that is showing on this tab with this icon are contents of the head element. Apart from this and this icon and this content, I don't think there's any other thing in the head section that shows on your browser. Every other thing in your head section is simply for controls. For controls. All right, so let's go back to our text editor and see how we can start from scratch. The first thing we need is our HTML elements. HTML open and close. Next thing we need, you can still declare your doc type. Remember, declaring doc type is only telling us that this is a HTML5 element, a HTML5 website, okay, or web page, okay. So let's continue. We have our head elements, and then you can have a title, which is usually very important, so you don't mix up things. So our title is going to hold. Let me see the title we gave for these ones. So we're in a blog, so you're going to change this title to simply blog. All right, so after that we create our body elements, body, that will hold the visible aspect of this website. All right, so in our body we will be putting in certain codes that will be visible in our website. So let us first of all check our code. Let's save this work and go back to check our code in the browser. Let's go back to check our code in the browser. So we go to our desktop. Can't remember. Yeah, downloads. Go into Kiddies and we simply right click on the blog and we say open with Google Chrome. All right, so this is our web page. So this is our web page. Can you see that your title is showing here? Blog, Kiddies Shopping Website. Okay, and however, we don't have an icon, so there's just a default icon here. We'll still get to see how to create a web icon for your tab. All right, so let's go in and make some additions to this. Okay, so I'll be using on-page CSS throughout this tutorial. So I'm going to put my style element in my head section, and I'm going to call my body as my selector. So I'm selecting body. I want to select body to give a command to body, and I'm going to say background color. So I'm going to go over to my color picker, and I'm going to choose a simple background color. So I'm going to choose a simple background color for this website. So let me just check through which background am I going to use for. So let me use this. It's looking exciting. So since this is a kiddies stuff, so let's just use a pink color, and I'll be going back here and I'm going to paste that color code. This is a hex color code. So I'll come back here and I'll refresh, and you see, boom, I have my background. So the next thing I might want to do is to create a menu. I just want a menu that will span maybe from this place to this place. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my work. Okay, oh sorry. So I'm back here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a div. I'm going to use a div. I just love working with divs a lot. So in my div, I'm going to give this div a class name of nav to show that I want to create a navigation bar. Okay, so I'm going to put this in uh, uh, a UL, and then I'm going to place this in an li. Okay, so let's style the nav. Let me put the content here. I'm going to put it in an anchor element. Hold on. So I'm going to put this in an anchor element, and I'm going to call this home. Okay, so we should be seeing something like this. Good. So the next thing I'm going to do is to duplicate this. Okay, so I'm going to say, let me see how this thing goes here. We have home product services, contacts, login, home product services, contacts, and login. So we have home product services, contacts, login, and lastly, we're going to have our blog. Okay, okay, and we are gonna have a href here, href attributes. So this is going to link to our index page, index.html, and I was explained why we need to link to our index page. So I'll copy this and make duplicates. Okay, so this is going to be products. So I think this is plural products. We are going to have services. Okay, we're gonna have contacts. I'm taking this from the names of the files. I'm taking this from the names of the files. So this is going to be contacts. And my login, I'm going to say login. And my blog, I'm gonna say blog. Okay, so when I save and refresh, you see what I have here. I have a list of items. Remember, your LIs give you a list of items. So the next thing I want to do is to kind of give a background. I want to give this nav a background. So I'm simply going to come here, and I'll say .nav because nav is a class name. So I'll say .nav. Okay, and I'm going to say background color white. So I'm going to use the hex code for white. Okay, so I'm going to refresh. So you see, we have white background. And I'm going to do something else. I want to bring, just like what we did the last time, I want to center this horizontally and bring it down a little. So I'm going to affect the padding of, I'll affect the margin of this nav, and I'm going to give it a width, and I'm going to give it a margin auto. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'll give it a width. I'll say width. I'll say 80%. I'll give it a margin auto. Okay, so let's see what happens. Boom, we have it at the center, and then I like what I'm seeing. I'm gonna kind of bring it down a bit. So I'll say margin top. I'll say something like a 30px. Okay, so I'm affecting the nav. I'm giving the nav, which is my div, a margin. Margin is from the border outside. Can you see it moved down 30px? However, I'm going to increase this to, let's say, 70px. So I'm going to bring it down. Remember that the margin of this nav that is white in color is from the border outside. So I'm increasing the space from the border outside to the top by 70px. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is to do some things on my list items. So I'm going to be working on my LIs. So um, going to say, I'm going to say li, I'm going to call their names. Okay, I'm going to say li, I'll say float left. I'll float all my li's to the left. Okay, and let's see what we have. Okay, so the float is kind of affecting the design of our work. Okay, so we're going to take this float out and we'll see where what is really affecting our float. Okay, so we'll take this float out first and we'll give a command to our UL. So we're going to say UL, we're going to give a command to our UL. We'll say width of our UL will be 100% of width of our UL is going to be 100% of our nav. Remember, this is our UL. So our UL will have a width that is 100% of our nav. And we'll refresh and see how that looks like. And the next thing we're going to do is to go over to our li and we are going to say li, oh sorry, float left. Save and refresh. Okay, so we're having the same issue. So let's see how we can fix this issue. Okay, so our float wasn't working and I had to use the display property inline block. So I've been able to resolve that issue by giving this a display of inline block. Okay, however, I need to give a height to my nav. So I'm giving my nav a height. So display inline block means display this inline. However, with a block attribute, so or with a block property or with a block representation, make that element also behave like a block element, but let it be displayed inline. That is what we just did right here. And I'm going to give my nav a height just to, make it look good. So I'm giving my nav, which is my div, a height of 50px. So let's see. Good. I would likely increase the height to 80px, and let's see what that will create. Good. And then I'm going to center the elements that are in my nav. Okay, I'm going to center the elements that are in my nav. So I'm going to come here and I'll give my UL, or rather I'm going to, yeah, I'll have to give my UL. I'll take out this width of 100%. I'll give it width of 80. Okay, and I'll give my UL, oh sorry, I'll give my UL margin, or even without the margin auto, I can come to my nav and say text align center. So every text within will be aligned to the center. So I think this is much more better than using margin auto. So instead of using margin auto on my UL, I just use my text align center for the nav. So all the content of my nav, which is from here to this other place, which is the content of my nav, will now be centered. Okay, so I'm going to give my li a text decoration of none. Text decoration none, which means I want to remove any of these stylings, these underscore and all that. I want to remove them. So when I run, let me see if I save it. Text decoration none, save, refresh. Okay, so this will be given to my anchor element. So I'm going to say lia. So I'm going to say text decoration none. So the anchor element that is in each li element, which is all these, will have a text decoration of none. So do not have that on the line anymore. All right. So the next thing I would want to do is to kind of bring the contents down a bit. Okay. So I could simply work on my UL, and I'm going to say padding. I'll give it a padding top. I'll give my UL a padding top of, let's say, 50px. Let's see where that goes. So I'm going to give my UL a padding top of it, which is smudge. It looks smudge. So I'm going to reduce this to 20. Remember where your UX is. You have to study this very well. Whoever I'm giving a command, you should know their position here. I'm giving this padding top to UL, which means padding means inside the border of UL, which means he's going to push whatever is inside it down from the top. Okay, so padding top to the UL, I've reduced it from 50 to 20, and I'm simply going to refresh, and we see how this looks like. Okay, the next thing I want to do is to give some separation, okay, between the elements. These are anchor elements. I want to give a kind of separation between them. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to give my anchor elements a padding. Remember, your padding when you have two values, the first value is for your top and bottom, second value is for your left and right. So I'm going to give a padding of 20, or I'm going to give a padding of 15 px, which is for top and bottom, and 10 px, which is for left and right. To my anchor elements, look at my anchor elements. So padding is a space inside from the border, inside, so it's affecting only each of the elements. Okay, so I'm going to run, and you're going to see something like this. Okay, and maybe this is not really what you want, because let's say if you color this, let's give it a color, let's give it a background color. So let's use this as the background color and run. Okay, so can you see that there is kind of space in between them? This space is the space that is left by your li. Okay, so if you want your code to actually look like this, well, it's still fine. This is still looking good. Okay, so what else could we possibly do in this tutorial? Well, at this point, we'll be stopping here, and we'll continue in the next tutorial. On your own, try to make this look better. Okay, try to make this look better. In our next tutorial, we'll continue. All right, see you guys. Thank you.